The covert narcissist needs too much privacy, too much personal time and personal space, and does not give it to you when you need it. The covert narcissist will withhold attention from you, will not sit down and play board games with you, will not sit down and have dinner with you. You'll have it separately, in different parts of the room or something like that. Will not cuddle with you or watch a movie with you. You will live a life of complete isolation and just be looking after this other adult person, babysitting this person. They will want constant pity and praise from you as far as you say, oh, yeah, if you were allowed to have done this as a child, or if someone didn't take this opportunity away from you, you would have been the greatest master of it. Oh, poor you. I feel so absolutely horrible for you and give you so much pity. They just need that. They thrive on that. Um, they will spend a lot of time, and this is not just my ex-wife. I've learned this with a lot of them and with stories from a lot of them because they're introverts. Um, they will absorb a lot of information strictly and only on subjects of which they like, nothing else, nothing more. Um, there cannot be a single problem with them. They're not going to go to therapy. They're not going to take medication. They're not going to get a spec scan. They're not going to do anything like that in any way. They will only go to therapists that will agree with them and that will listen to them only and take their word for everything, no matter what. Nothing else will do. That's with any type of narcissist. Um, they will want pity over good things. They will talk about how good something is as though it's a negative thing and why it brings them harm. They will talk about good things about you and how it affects them. Everything you do is somehow how it affects them. Somehow it harms them or makes them sad in some way, especially your accomplishments or positive goals you're looking to achieve. Um, they have always been wronged by everyone in life with stories that are so similar, you think, wow, this person just happened to meet a ton of people that all have the exact same type of personalities and harm them in the exact same way. What are the odds? The things they say about other people, how other people have harmed them, tends to always be things that they've done to people, planning to do to people, or would like to do to someone. They have a very vile list of pleasures. When it comes to things that bring them joy, it tends to be sadistic things towards other people, especially innocent people. They cannot relate to um, victims of things, but they will act like they can and act like they feel sorry for them, but they constantly will want to hear information and stories and those people's pains and sufferings in order to manipulate them or use it against them later. Um, they get more happiness and arousal from hearing harms that were done to other people rather than actually caring. Um, they relate to bullies when they have it coming to them. They will relate to abusers. For example, there's an abuser harming someone. They cannot relate to the person that they've done harm to. Then, when it comes back to the abuser and they get what was coming to them, they will relate to that abuser and correct the cruel behavior that was done to them and why that person should be shown forgiveness. Um, they will, I'm not sure if I already said this, they will always correct you with wrong information. And what is always correct is whatever their feelings are. It's not going to be based on fact. As a matter of fact, there is something that can be so absolutely obviously true from your day to day experience. And they will ask someone who has no authority in the matter or Google something as far as not for the truth or to find clarity, but any reason, anything, no matter how absurd the answer is, to show their point. And then show it to you and be like, I looked up this, and show you something or give you information that people would use to prove that they were wrong because the source is so terrible. Like Huffington Post on politics, and act as though they just showed you. Um, let's see, what else? What else? People who make contact with them will treat you differently, will not share with you anything as far as what was said, because they're really good at getting other people to turn against you and feel as though that is between those two, and they will not share with you the things that they're saying about you. Um, you will lose friendships, and they will stop friendships before they start. You could actually talk to someone, and a friendship will start, and you'll never hear from them again, and not know that it was the covert narcissist that spoke to them and said, "Look, don't tell so and so this, but I just want to protect you from this," and be able to come up with something absolutely ridiculous. But that person will believe it because people believe lies easily and are not able to detect very obvious signs of lying, which is very strange. Um, what else? What else? They will always forget to do something when it's something that you need. Always. This is intentional. Um, if they go out to get you something, they will forget that thing and grab everything else, and they will do this often. Despite them not having memory issues, this will tend to be a problem. Chores around the house, if you ask them to do something or if you need them to do something, they will, for some reason, no matter how easy it is, tend not to do it right. But they didn't sabotage it. No, no, no. And now they're sad and angry because they didn't do it right. And now they want pity because they didn't do it right. Or they'll immediately lash out at you because they didn't do it right. For some reason, it's your fault. It can get to the point where you will do everything. You will be running both lives. You'll be handling all their stuff for them, finances, building up their credit for them, handling their bills, fixing their stuff, fixing their car, all of this stuff, and be serving them completely. And they will, and this is what happened to me, they will tell people about how they're basically running both lives and doing everything around the house. That pissed me off when that happened to me. I was like, excuse you? I was, wow, floored by that. They will say it in front of people, the audacity and the things that will come out. What a beautiful bridge. Oh, it's all brick and old iron. Oh, how pretty that was. Um, the audacity that they will have, the things that will come out of their mouth. They will um reach a level, or they will say something very passively as though it's no big deal, and say the most offensive, most insulting thing, like it's just no big deal, and like you're so sensitive because how you responded to it. They will take everything as a slight, everything. Um, for example, with my ex, someone complimented about how delicious and gooey and sticky, sweet, thick and satisfying her cheesecake was, and she was like, "Wow, I can't believe she said that to me. Yeah, I thought we were friends. What a bitch." Yeah, and then start talking about the particular words and what they could mean in another context. And the reason why is because they will always look to say something to you like it's an insult, but they'll say it in a way where it's not a compliment, not an insult, and make sure they word it so it'll be slightly insulting and hope you pick up on it. So you'll say something so they can respond back to you as far as that was a compliment. It's like, well, then why didn't you say anything nice and say it in a way with a smile on your face like it was a compliment? Um, they will switch drop of the hat. They will completely look and act completely different. What else will they do? They will set up a story, a narrative that they want to sell to people, and try and bait you into saying a certain thing, and you will not fall for it. For example, with my ex-wife, I could tell that she was trying to for me to say that doesn't matter, feelings don't matter, until one day she finally got me to say it when she was saying that we were talking about data and numbers, and she's like, "Well, I don't like that something something times something equals this because well, I was like, well, when it comes to data, feelings don't matter. My feelings matter, and you always say my feelings don't matter." And I was like, uh. She finally got me to say it after years because I knew she was telling people, he acts like my feelings don't matter because I always had to. It doesn't matter if you're always helping them and always sympathizing with their sad feelings because they're angry that they don't like a color of a banana. It's still not enough. You could be so sympathetic with every single little thing as far as a compliment wasn't worded correctly or the compliment was too nice and that made it terrible and really be like, you poor thing, and nothing's going to be enough for them. But they will bait you and then tell everyone, he said my feelings don't matter with, and then completely change the story. Um, they will even try and sell the lie that they're telling other people to you and come up with a completely different thing as far as remember when and say something completely fabricated that could actually be a story that they have told you in the beginning of the relationship about other people. And you'll just be like, oh my God, that makes no sense. Um, they will accuse you of things like, for example, in my case, I don't believe in supernatural stuff or magic or witchcraft or anything like that really at all. I mean, despite that there being some data to support it with experiences I've had, I'm a data person. I'm a logical person. And then one day, when she attacked me and she was telling me about witchcraft that women were using to control their men in order to make sure they could never leave them and keep them under their control by giving them poisons and crap like that, which it turns out she was doing, um, she started accusing me of doing magic and trying to do witchcraft on her and blah blah blah. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So they will actually accuse you of something that you will have debates in where they'll try and sell you on something and you just don't believe it, will actually come back and state that you always have had that position. Absolutely insane. Um, There is no pleasing them. My ex-wife, when I got her a gift the first time that I thought she would like, well, the second time actually, she looked at it and went, nah, well, yeah, it's what I wanted, but see the corner right here is a little scratched. I'm really upset about this. And she made me feel guilty because the fact that I got her exactly what she wanted and what she asked for and everything meant that I did something wrong because the fact that it was exactly what she wanted meant it wasn't good enough and not what she wanted. They'll always find everything wrong with absolutely everything, especially if there's nothing wrong with it at all in any way, means that that's what's wrong with it. That will always be the issue with them. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? They'll never follow through with anything. They just can't. They won't do it, and it will be your fault that that they lied to you and that they followed through. And they never really said that. When they say, "I will do this," let's say again in this example, all right, she wanted to start a soap making business. Absolutely her, nobody else. She didn't want it to be a hobby between her and I anymore. And then when I bought her everything to start her business, she said, absolutely not. I told you I didn't want it to be a business, and I wanted us just to spend time together. Even though she said, I don't want to spend time together. No, this is my thing. Fine. Completely changed it. Quit her job, intentionally got herself fired, and then blamed me for it, saying that I'm the reason that she got fired. She really, really loved that job. Literally. Um, she said it one night, next morning when she got fired, yelled at me and said it was my fault. She really loved that job and loved all those people. And I told my therapist about this, saying, I think when she gets herself fired, she's going to blame me. And then I told him, I was like, but it really, she gaslit me. And that's another one. They'll gaslight you to the point where even though you know what happened, you know what was said, you know that they chose to get themselves fired, they for some reason you'll actually feel guilty for the things that they chose in their life, even if it's against everything you told them to do. It is your fault. They will completely come up with their different stories saying, I told you I didn't want to do it. I told you. I said I didn't want to get fired. And I went over there and I did it anyway. And it's your fault. It's like, holy fucking shit. That is crazy. You know? You will lose your mind with them. You can get very sick. Memory issues, IBS, memory disorders, hallucinations, lack of sleep, GERD, vomiting blood. You're constantly going to be getting different sicknesses. Your immune system will actually fail. You get the flu, you get the cold, you get COVID, all this stuff a lot easier. Problems you've never had before. You could develop all sorts of health issues, all sorts of problems, and then for some reason you're not going to want to leave them. You're going to feel sorry for them. You're going to feel guilty about it. You're going to feel selfish. What else can happen? What else? They'll actually make you believe that they put a lot into the relationship, even though you see and you know that they're not putting anything into the relationship. They'll actually do what they can, everything they can, to make sure there's absolutely no possible way that a relationship can work between you two, and sell everyone about, and maybe even you for a while. You will think that they put stuff into it. And what I did is I put together a list as far as pro con list. And when I was done with it, there was over 300 cons to the relationship and not a single pro. Every pro that I tried to come up with that I put down there, I looked at it, I'm like, that's really not a pro though. I mean, that's really just, that's nothing. Let's see, what else, what else? This might be something, I don't know, but this is what happened with me, is she told me she was intimidated by my superior cleaning and organization skills. Because I looked into techniques into cleaning things very thoroughly and very effectively. So she told me that she wanted some certain chores. She wanted to do dishes, mopping, sweeping, litter boxes, laundry stuff, the basic stuff, because I was working 12 hours a day or more. So I was like, fine. And she would intentionally do a bad job, it seemed like. Um, well, at first it seemed like she tried, but she wasn't as good at it. Then she was intentionally doing a bad job and act offended when I would actually clean it, which would take no time at all, because she could try and sell it on me offending her. That's another thing. They'll always set things up. They'll always come up with reasons on why you offended them or someone else offended them, and they will set it up and sabotage this to make it happen. They will sabotage life for pity, even if it takes you down, even if it takes them down, even if it kills their animals. For example, my ex-wife and I were leaving for a while. I told her about how the water faucet had to be at a certain point and not any lower than that, because the last thing we would want is for us to be delayed, get home to a bunch of dead cats that died of dehydration. And she looked at me with a really weird look on her face. And then she would only set, from that point on, she would only set the faucets to well below that point, where if the water pressure dropped, it would stop giving water. And even when it would boost back up, it would stop giving water. It had to be at a certain point, um, so that wouldn't happen. and she would always set it, which she never did before. But once she learned about that point, she would start sabotaging like crazy, so that way it would accidentally happen. They will always set things up to accidentally happen, so there will always be a reasonable suspicion or slightly reasonable suspicion why they didn't do it on purpose. When you look into it, you'll find that all the things that go wrong, there's always some type of story, reasonable suspicion, or something. Um, they'll do something. As far as with my ex-wife, I spent 3 hours on breakfast because I'd make everything from scratch, like scratch, and she looked at me when I was making breakfast, tried to start an argument, and I failed. I refused to get involved in this argument with her, and she looked at me and just went, well, she was just this weird thing. It would walk away staring at me like that out of the room. I'm like, what the hell was that? It was creepy. And then I threw the whole breakfast away. And then later on, I asked her what that was, as far as why did she abandon me and walk away again. She went, I just thought that I should give you some space because it looked like you needed to get yourself together mentally. And I just thought that even though I wanted to spend time with you, it'd be selfish of me not to go out of my way and do that for you because I really care about you, love you so much that I want your mental health to be good. It's like, so you chose to ditch everything, go ahead and not finish helping me with that part of the breakfast that I asked you to do, and just leave and let everything, yeah, because they're doing everything for you, everything for you. I once saw a guy who would sleep with someone's girlfriend and say he did it for them out of the goodness of his heart because that relationship wasn't working out, and he did it as a good friend to show them that it was in their best interest to see that that girl was a cheater, and that's the reason he slipped something in their drink and freaking basically did some very terrible stuff to them. I mean, it will reach a level of absurdity. Um, but this will happen a lot. Every single thing that they do to you with an obvious, um, with very intentional, cruel intentions, um, will always be some type of very kind, courageous sacrifice for the better good, specifically for you because they love you so much and it hurt them. They're the one who paid the price to do this very kind act toward you to somehow better your life so you could learn something or emotionally heal from this emotional damage. Um, there will be stuff like that all the time. Um, they'll never see a therapist. They do the lie through their teeth. Um, if they go to the therapist, what happened with me is she saw therapist after therapist after therapist. They always told her something she didn't like. She would lie and say she never saw them, and then yell at me when I asked, how did it go? I told you they canceled on me a week ago. You never listened to me, and did it. Just this weird whole emotional thing. I was like, wow, that's funny. 10 therapists within 3 months, and they all just happen to cancel on you. Um, Again, I'm not sure if I said this earlier, they'll always find a therapist that will believe every word that they say and give them pity, and that's how it is. And then they'll always have stories about how other people do that, but never them. What else? What else? Oh, with my ex-wife, she always said things as far as I could just mark myself easy. See that? See that? Look how I turn red. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and you and I got angry. I could go ahead and just call the cops and just do this to myself a little bit because it'll leave marks so easily. Tell them you did it, you get arrested right away. I could do that to you if I wanted to. But you're really fortunate because even though every other girl would do that, and I can guarantee you every other girl anywhere would do that, I wouldn't because I'm not that type of girl. So you're lucky you have me. What the hell was that? Which later on she did do that, called the cops, lied to them, said I attacked her, but forgot I had the surveillance system and all this stuff up, which I have full records of her even lying about that and actually describing her lie to herself on how she was going to sell it to people. I got a lot of stuff on her. So that's another thing. Make sure you have your surveillance systems, make sure you have cameras, make sure you record phone conversations. Make sure you record conversations when you're in the room with them. Just put your phone on record. Let it record them for the 24 hours if you have to. Okay? But start monitoring everything. Let's see. What else? What else? Um, they won't have friends. They won't have friends. They can't hold on to relationships or friendships. They'll have a lot of enemies in the family. They'll be the black sheep, and they'll always have stories that relate to you with things that you've gone through on why they're the victim. When you first meet them, they'll love bomb you. Then they'll always show compassion. They'll always let you talk a lot, and they'll always tell you stories that are similar to theirs. Later on in your relationship, you'll find completely different stories, or you'll find things that are completely untrue. Now, here's something that might be covert narcissist related. I'm not sure. With me, my ex-wife could not keep a lie straight. She could change her lie. One time it was 8 times within 2 minutes, and she could not hold on to anything or remember any of her lies that she was selling. That was interesting, and I'm not sure if that's a covert narcissist thing or something else. My homie's hitting me up. I'll catch you guys later.